These are violent criminals, so they're not going to go down easy.
ABC Tuesdays.
Let's get this done.
The Rookie is back.
We have 2 new rookies starting today.
Howdy.
Being a cop is stressful 24/7. Every year on the job is different.
And Training Day
We have a serial killer at large.
never ends.
We need an ambulance!
The Rookie. All new Tuesdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
We've been watching this house for about 2 months now. Nothing. First, I wasn't sure if it was a hazing kind of situation or just a joke, but I was new to the force by that point, so I didn't know what to expect. Not much happened in this town, like at all. It's not small, but it's quiet. The locals are friendly and weird, but I never had much of an issue. Between you and me, being a detective here was kind of a cakewalk. I managed to hone in on the habits of all the residents on this street. It's like they were moving in sync, you know? Reminds me of that movie, Edward Scissorhands, where they all leave and come home at the same time. There's even this stray cat that came to one house every night at the same exact time to take scraps. It was living Groundhog Day here. I guess there was nothing to complain about. And the reason we'd been staking out this particular house for a while is because some people were last seen going in it, never coming back out. The house didn't look like it'd been occupied for damn near 10 years, which adds to the creepiness, you know. But in the last 2 months, I hadn't seen anything. My partner and I, we would take shifts to keep an eye on it. He'd sleep a lot, and we'd trade off. But his damn phone never stopped ringing. It's none of my business, but his wife would call for the oddest shit. And she knew he was at work. You know, she was fully aware he was on a stakeout. Don't get married. That was his advice right before he picked up the phone. Every time. He told me how they met. They were both divorced. He had no kids, and she had a few from her previous relationship. She was from this town, but never talked much about her family, he says. And we've been married for some years now, he said. As a cop, or just a human with common sense, you'd raise questions, but I've come to understand sometimes your past is the last thing you want to revisit. I mean, there's still things I don't talk about. Anyways, it was hard to sleep in the car, so a lot of times I'd just stay up and give myself something to do. I learned everything I needed to just in case we overlooked something, but nothing stuck out. We came upon this house from an anonymous tip. They called in saying that there had been some strange activity going on. People were walking in, but they would never come back out. I assumed it was the neighborhood watch committee. And I admit, the house had a weird feeling to it. There's no doubting that, but I never saw a thing. Even now, I can honestly say I never saw a thing. There was one neighbor who walked her dog and always brought us some baked goods. I definitely put on some pounds, and I did not care. Hey, it was good. My partner, he usually got to the stuff before I did. If I fell asleep around him, they were already gone by the time I woke up. And this went on for some time. You know what? Thinking back, I remember one night it felt like someone was watching us from the house. It was pitch black in there, but I could feel someone looking at us from the top floor window. And we changed out cars. We made sure not to be obvious at all, but I couldn't shake the feeling we were being watched. Then it was one day the neighbor with the baked goods said she couldn't find her dog. She hadn't seen him since. I asked her how long was it. She said a few days. And that's when, one night, shit went left. And I'm still not entirely sure what happened. My chief, he keeps asking me to retrace my steps, and I don't know what to say. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, my partner was gone. I called his phone, but I realized it was still in the car. The street was still, and I mean too still. It's as if I was the only person there. I checked the time, and by this time the resident down the street was coming home, but they hadn't pulled up yet. And what I found funny was no missed calls from his wife either. She always called around this time, and if he didn't answer, she'd call right back until he did. It wasn't right. That night wasn't right. I called in dispatch and I let them know what was going on. I got out, I looked around the house, nothing. We didn't want to draw attention just in case, but nothing. I looked up and down the street, nothing. I couldn't unlock his phone, but still, there were no missed calls, and that didn't make sense to me. I got back to the station and told them what happened. They said we'd give it a day, send out a search party, whatever it took. It was one of us. A week went by. We posted nothing. We had somebody re-watching the footage over the last couple of months to see if there was anything that we missed. On that night, the camera showed us both sleeping. My partner was supposed to have been up. And that's when I saw it. Down the street. Someone was standing there watching us. I looked back through all the tapes, and for almost 2 months, they were watching us. They looked into each of our cameras too, just to let us know we were seen. And we couldn't get in touch with his wife either. It's like she packed up and moved. When we went to the house, it was cleaned out. I was able to find her name though. He said they'd been together for about 5 years, right? She was under a different name before that. She'd been tied to a few missing persons before meeting him. She was in a cult before meeting him. And this whole time she was calling him, she was just calling him to know where he was at all times. She's from this town. And the neighbor with the baked goods. Shit. That was her mom. We got tipped off about that one. This whole time we were watching this house, but the town was watching us.